Hi, everybody. Welcome to Motivation Monday. This is Maria LiPuma, and I'm happy to be with you today. So, today is the first Monday of the new year. I hope you had a nice holiday weekend, maybe restful and within the limitations of what's going on right now with social distancing and all. Maybe you're able to connect with family and friends. So, in today's Motivation Monday, I wanted to talk about this idea of self discipline, a new and effective approach to self discipline. I noticed in the thread that some of you have shared that you feel like you need to be more disciplined. And I think oftentimes we, especially at the beginning of the week or the beginning of the year, we have this idea that we're going to set goals for ourselves. And the way to achieve those goals is through having enough self-discipline. I can remember writing in my journal after, particularly after like a holiday week, because that would be the time when I would overindulge and feel really uncomfortable with my body and really sluggish, and so I would write all of these rules that I was going to do in order to reach my goal of losing weight and getting fit. And I would write these rules, and then I would muster up the willpower to adhere to those rules. And they were very short lived. I was not able to, maybe I could get through the first day or the second day, but inevitably my willpower would not bring me through. I wasn't able to continue on that path because the goals were often restrictive. They were often the rules were often restrictive. The path to get to those goals were really hard for me to apply on a day-to-day basis. And so when I would fail at that, I would feel even more upset with myself. Now here I was feeling overweight and sluggish, and now I'm beating up myself because I'm saying that I'm not good enough because I can't adhere to these rules that I made for myself. And it becomes a vicious cycle. And what I have learned is that really the only way to truly cultivate self-discipline is coming from a place of self-acceptance. Because the old way of doing that, the way I used to do that, was self-discipline, muster up the willpower, and then based on that, self-denial, right? So now I'm not gonna eat this. I'm gonna be very stringent with my food. I'm gonna be very aggressive with my exercise and making it really hard. And if I was able to achieve that, then at the end of the day, I would deem myself a good person. But if I wasn't able to achieve that, at the end of the day, I was even a worse person than I was before I started these hard rules. So the old paradigm of self-discipline, mustering up the willpower, self-denial, equaling a good person doesn't really work. And maybe it will work for a short amount of time, and some people are really good at making it work for a long amount of time, but ultimately it's going to have a rebound effect. And we know that many people, if you're willing yourself to refrain from certain foods, then ultimately you will binge or you will gain the weight back. So what I have learned in my own journey and in my journey working with many, many women is that the first step to cultivating self-discipline is coming from a place of self-acceptance. So we're not a good or a bad person if we can adhere to the food rules. That's why restrictive dieting is so damaging, because it makes it really hard to do. And it also continues to make us believe that there's something wrong with us. There's something in deeply wrong with us. And bottom line is that if you can't adhere to a certain diet or a certain food plan, It's not that there's something wrong with you. It's not that you're broken, and it's not that you need to be fixed. It's that there might be deeper reasons why you're stuck in this cycle. And the first step is self-acceptance. When you can accept yourself, when you can accept your areas of vulnerability, your areas of struggle and challenge, then you can start to cultivate habits that will align with your goals. Because the truth is that, the end result, achieving the goal, is something that we want, but the process of getting there is an important piece of it. Because once you reach your goal and attain it, if you haven't cultivated life-sustaining habits to get there, you're going to go back to the old way, because it doesn't feel good to deprive yourself like that. So the key to sustainable change is, like I said before, cultivating habits that feel good. So um, there is a researcher named, what is his name? Charles Duhigg, who wrote the book, The Power of Habit. And he has done a lot of research about how what is effective in cultivating habits. And the three things that are required based on his work, the three things that are required in order to cultivate and sustain habits are a cue, a behavior, and a reward. So, the thing is that we may intellectually understand something, but the feelings is what's really going to guide us. If something doesn't feel good, it's hard to sustain it over time, because we want to feel good. We want to have a reward. We want to feel satisfied. So again, if you are not feeling good, for instance, if you go to the gym every day and you're angry about it and you're frustrated, or you're doing it because you want to beat off the pounds, it's not really a good feeling activity that you're doing. You're not enjoying the process. There's no reward in it. Maybe there's a reward when you get on the scale and you've lost a pound, but it's not a long-term reward enough to keep you going. The difference would be to start to find pleasure in going to the gym, or start to find a sense of enjoyment in moving your body, cultivating the habit because it feels good. So the behavior would be to go to the gym, but the way you look at it, the way you address it would be different. You would start to cultivate, well, wouldn't it be nice if I could enjoy this process? Wouldn't it be nice if I could see this as a time for myself? Rather than pushing yourself, rather than forcing yourself and beating yourself up in the process, it's a way of learning to take care of your body, because movement feels really good in the body and it makes you feel good, and you can even applaud yourself as you're doing this, like, oh, it's great that you got yourself there. So there's a mindset around making changes that is essential in order to make them sustainable. And an important part of that is the reward. So what Durag talks about in his book, The Power of Habit, is it starts with a cue, and then a behavior, and then the reward. And the cue could simply be lacing up your shoes, something that you attribute to what's the next step. So for instance, if you want to have more of a meditation practice every day, the cue would be that when the alarm goes off, you get up, maybe you wash your face, you brush your teeth, and then you take your meditation cushion or whatever it is that you want to do. Important piece of this is to not think too much about it. That's why doing some of these practices early in the day is most effective. At the beginning, you have to be intentional about it, because you're changing a pattern. You're changing a pattern of activity. But eventually, you'll start to associate the cue of the alarm going off with the meditation practice. And then the reward would be reflecting on, like, that's wonderful. I was able to do that today, supporting yourself, celebrating yourself, and even the reward of creating some mindfulness in your day. So what you tell yourself is really important as well. It's a different approach to the way, willing ourselves, because willpower only goes so far. and then we run out of willpower. And then once we run out of willpower, it goes, then we end up giving up completely. So it's about cultivating habits that will eventually align with the goals that you want to achieve. It's about rewarding yourself. It's about tuning into how you're feeling, because the feeling is going to drive the behavior. If it does not feel good, so what are you telling yourself when you're doing this behavior? Are you choosing to eat nourishing foods because you deserve to feel good about your body and you want to feel light and you want to feel free? Or are you choosing to deprive yourself of foods and and feel like you're in food jail? So if you want to learn more about this, I'm going to be diving deeper into this on Wellness Wednesday this week. It's a free Zoom offering, and we will be talking about how we can start to cultivate life-affirming habits that align with our goals and enjoy the process, enjoy the practice, because you're not going to maintain it if you can't find pleasure in the path, right? And that becomes an important part of your life, rather than reaching a goal. Once you reach the goal, then you're on to the next goal, and you're not giving yourself that positive feedback, those rewards of feeling good and affirming all the efforts that you're doing in order to help you to have a better life. One of the things that I have found to be very helpful, and many of my students and clients as well, is to apply tapping emotional freedom techniques, because it actually teaches you more self-acceptance, regardless of how you're showing up. If there's problems, if you're having difficulty with food cravings or exercise, the first step is a statement of acceptance. And once you start to be more self-accepting of where you're at and not looking at it as a character flaw if you're overeating or not able to exercise, but that it's an acquired habit and pattern that you may have developed over time, then from that place of self-acceptance, you can start to be more loving and caring towards yourself and your body, and start to put in life affirming habits that will get you to where you want to go. So I hope that this is helpful for you today. I'm going live on my computer, which is not something I'm really familiar with, so I'm not even seeing if anybody is writing anything in the chat right now. So I'm sorry if I haven't addressed that. Once I log off, I'll take a look, and then I can also respond to that as well. But I want to leave you with that today, to consider cultivating. You may have written some goals that you want to achieve this year. You may have decided that you want to make some lifestyle changes that will help you to feel better in your body, in your mind, in your relationships, in your life. And you want to embrace where you're at. Self-acceptance is the key to cultivating healthy self-discipline. And if you are struggling with self-sabotaging behaviors, there might be deeper reasons that are keeping you stuck. But again, it's not that there's something wrong with you, or that you're not good enough, or you're not spiritual enough. It's that maybe there was some injury, maybe on some level the destructive behavior is keeping you from looking at something else that might be even more painful. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. I'd love to hear maybe what you have considered. Maybe you have some goals, some intentions for this year. And I would love to support you in any way to maybe take a different approach, because if you look back at your life and the changes you've tried to make, they say that insanity is doing the same things over and over again and expecting different results. So, taking this approach of more self-acceptance, shifting your mindset, shifting your inner dialogue, and applying some techniques and strategies that might be out of the box for you. However, it's an alternative way that works for many. And so I know that there's freedom on the other side of this because I am a perfect example of that. I was stuck in emotional eating, food cravings, binges, self-sabotaging behaviors, not only around food, weight, and body image, but in other areas of my life too. And it really begins with accepting myself with compassion and you have to find a way to muster that up. And there are ways, even if there's resistance to accepting yourself, because sometimes there's a fear of accepting ourselves. I was so strong in the hard discipline that lightening up felt a little frightening. But I want to tell you that that is the path. That is the path to cultivate some curiosity, to start to treat yourself with more compassion, and to support yourself in a different way so that you can reach your goals. You can cultivate habits that are life sustaining and start to live your life with more happiness, more peace, and more freedom. So, again, that's all from me today. And maybe you want to join me on Wellness Wednesday. The link is in the group on the page. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. I hope you have a wonderful day today, and let's stay in touch. Bye now.